Hello! Hello, liberals, conservatives, socialists, fascists, and everyone in between. Welcome to TableTV.net. I am Larry the Table Guy. I did a lot of tabling events for activism, political campaigns, environmental issues, and for the solar industry, at trade shows and also home improvement sales. So I've done a lot of tabling events, and what I like to say is come to the table. Come to the table. Conservatives, debate the issues with me. Yes, I am a liberal socialist. So, uh, if you would like to send a liberal packing, I am looking very fondly at socialist countries, well, pretty much anywhere in Europe, but right now I'm looking at Ecuador and Uruguay because the cost of living is much lower there. And I'm basically bankrupt in this country, especially if I stay much longer. My expenses way outpace my income, and especially now that I'm only making $1,000 a month on unemployment, my situation just simply is not sustainable. If I stay here, I will be homeless, which is why I have an old RV that I've been fixing up for the last 2 years because I saw the zombie apocalypse coming in 2020. Back in 2016 when I organized marches for Bernie and women's marches and things like that. My name is on 5 of those permits from 2016. I was really hoping at that time that I could roll that experience into some sort of YouTube or Patreon where I could actually continue to engage in progressive politics and be able to support myself. But in the United States of America, you can either use your First Amendment rights or you can be employed, right? So, like, a lot of times conservatives would come to our marches, come to our events, and say, oh, look at all you lazy liberals not working. Instead of doing all this organizing for higher wages, you should just go to work and work longer, and then you'd end up making the same amount of money instead of wasting all your time, fighting for higher wages. You could just work more, right? Go get a job. That was always they would roll down their windows, honk the horn, and yell out, hey, you liberals, you stinking hippies, go get a job, right? So, so I did that. So I chose the employment route. And when I did that, I had to give up my First Amendment rights because, especially sales and marketing, is the only thing I've ever done that makes any money. I was in honors physics with straight A's and took computer programming and yada yada, but all the skills that I went to school for were outsourced and automated away, and now you can get them free online or free in other countries that have universal education. They don't have student loans to pay back. I do, so they get the job and I don't. And so I went from wanting a scientific career to downgrading my expectations, and I landed on home improvement sales. And in home improvement sales, I made decent money, a decent, lower middle class lifestyle, which I had basically always been dirt broke poor since I started college at age 18 and had been homeless several times, which again is another reason why I got this RV. So, in sales and marketing, you cannot have any political opinions. So, you can't say anything relevant or important about anything to anyone, and especially not online, not on Facebook. So if I come out as a democratic socialist, by the way, I'm not affiliated with the Bernie Sanders campaign. I am merely a supporter, so don't put any of my words in his mouth, okay? But as a democratic socialist, as a what you conservatives would call a liberal, although my definition of liberal is probably different than yours, but we'll set that aside for the moment. This is the Send a Liberal Packing GoFundMe. So what that means is that if I want to continue to use my First Amendment rights, I am not economically viable. So using my First Amendment rights will lead to homelessness, destitution, preventable disease, and bankruptcy due to medical bills from neglect and exposure. So I've already been down this path. I know where it goes. Again, that's why I got the RV. Um, so, but, you know, now that my income has been cut off, why am I still being silent, right? So, on the off chance that I might get employed in the future, well, shoot, I was number 3 salesperson in the entire country for the company I worked for, and I was still in the first round of layoffs. I'm always last hired, first fired. Why? Because I'm a socialist. And because of that, companies don't want to hire me until like the economy is just way super overheating, and it's like, if we don't hire Larry the Table Guy, there's going to be an opportunity cost associated with that. So let's go ahead and hire him now because we got all these sales to make. But as soon as the economy starts to downturn, as soon as the fat cats on Wall Street blow up the global economy and we go into a downturn, boom, immediately snatch that Larry the Table Guy right out of any kind of economic viability whatsoever, force him into bankruptcy and homelessness, because that's what you get for being a socialist in the United States of America. So anyway, I digress. But the point is that if you really want to get rid of me, if you really want to send a liberal packing, then what you need to do is give to this GoFundMe so that I can have the seed money to get out of here and get to a socialist country that actually cares about its citizens. A country like, say, Mexico, or say, Ecuador, or better yet, I keep wanting to say Paraguay, but it's Uruguay. Uruguay has a very interesting history, and they've come out of that history as a progressive European style country in South America. And they have universal education, universal health care. I could go there and finish my degree. I could go there and get a master's degree. Right now, I have $85,000 in student loan debts at age 50, but all I have is an associate's of science. Now, I have enough credits to probably have a bachelor's or a master's, but the way the for-profit universities work in this country, none of the classes match up right to actually add up to a degree. So, I've over the decades, I've probably went to school 10 years, or, over the last, say, 25 years, I've probably gone to college for, 10 of those years. So, I should have enough to have like a master's or maybe even a PhD. If I just take a couple of extra little specialized classes, maybe I could even turn that into a PhD. But not in this country, because in this country, we don't have universal education. I have to take those $85,000 to my grave because I can never declare bankruptcy on it. And now the skills that I got when I went to college are now free online and free in other countries, so I can't compete with the global capitalist system of ruinous competition around the world. I paid for my education, they didn't. There's no way I can compete with that. The other thing is that I would get skills and then they would be outsourced before I could get the job. So if those skills are going to another country, well, then I need to go to another country where living expenses are lower so that I can get my job back, basically, right? I can get approved for, I have like a 700 credit score, or at least I did, or until this electric car is going into arrears. But I can get approved for $1,200 a month rent, but I cannot get approved for $400 a month mortgage, okay? But in Uruguay, I can get a really nice place to live for $400 a month. Even if I'm just renting, I could practically rent a house for that. and they also have really cheap but faster internet, cheaper but faster internet than what we have here in the United States. And so any kind of YouTube I could do from there, online jobs that I could do here, I could do there, only at a lower cost. And ultimately, if I do get an online job here, I'm going to lose to somebody who moved to Uruguay, right? So send a liberal packing. You want the United States to yourself. You want to get rid of all the socialist liberals like me from the country. You want to have your coup and install Trump as a lifetime dictator and all that good. Okay, well I say you have at it, just as long as I can get out first. Otherwise, I got to stay here and fight you. Otherwise, I got to stay here in a civil war and fight a revolution against the aristocracy, just like our founding fathers did when they threw off the shackles of the British aristocracy. I have to fight you off because you are the new British crown. You are the new aristocracy under the Trump crown. And you want rich people to rule our lives and to call all the shots and to set our wages, as well as what we can our purchasing power, as well as any kind of governance when it comes to like our healthcare, environmental regulations to keep us from getting cancer, and all those kind of things. You want to go back to the aristocracy. That's why you call yourself conservative. You want to conserve the power, the old ways, the old power structure of, king, lord, knights, and then the peasants, serfs, and slaves. You want to go back to slavery, which is why you're a reactionary to Reconstruction, and that you want, say, Jews will not replace us with black people and all that kind of stuff. So I get where you're coming from. I get what you're gonna do with this country. Who cares who we vote for? Because all we get's Biden. So why does it matter? I'm never going to get Bernie Sanders. I'm never going to get universal health care. I'm never going to get Medicare for all. I'm definitely never going to get $2,000 a month basic minimum income like the entire rest of the world has right now. I know I'm not going to get anything that I want from this country, so it's time for me to go. But I can't go because your aristocracy has wiped me out. So you got to pay to get rid of me. So donate now. Donate now to send a liberal packing. Thank you very much.